In this video, I will be doing groundwork with Violet. Our main focus throughout today's session was to continue to build a supportive relationship based on mutual respect and communication, as well as continuing to work on body mechanics and how she uses herself throughout the circle. When Violet first got here, she was very sensitive to pull pressure and had a strong tendency to rear if too much pressure was applied. Although she understood the basic concepts of lunging, she still needed a lot of work on her geometry. There are two types of mistakes that I commonly see when lunging a horse. The horse falling in towards the handler, and the horse pulling out away from the handler. Horses are inherently lazy and would rather stand grazing all day than be trotting around in circles. Therefore, they have a tendency to use avoidant behaviors to make their workload easier, which in turn makes our workload harder. In this section of the video, you can see Violet testing as she alternates between falling in towards me or pulling on the line and falling towards the rail. Here I was asking for her to continue to trot forward and around me. She gets it briefly going and then immediately starts to drift out again, causing us to lose all of our forward momentum and fall back into the walk. She has a tendency to become defensive if too much pressure is applied. So here's where I decided to take a second and refresh upon properly moving her body out of my space when I asked. You can see me working with her on moving her haunches and her forehand out of my space from a light aid, as well as walking all around her body and making sure she's comfortable with me everywhere. I'm also just doing a quick refresher on the whip to make sure that she's not uncomfortable with it touching or being used on her body at all. Here you can see and hear me getting after her a little bit harder because she tried to turn her butt and nip at me. I try to always work with the horse and use gentle method, but there are certain things that they need to understand are not acceptable. Here you can see all I am doing is standing my ground and making sure that she stays out of my space. It looks dramatic because I'm swinging the rope towards her, but I'm not actually physically causing her any harm, and I'm simply communicating in a way that she'll understand. It's very similar to when you see a horse toss its head towards another horse. They're simply saying, "This is my space, please go away." Once she gave me that respect, I changed it up again a little bit more and just told her to move forward. You can see that I move outside of the cones and I let her use the rail to support and balance herself, and my only goal was for her to go forward in a circle around me. Once she gave me that nice forward circle, I asked her to stop and come in. I'll give her a nice scratch and we'll touch base with each other before we begin again. I could still tell that there was some resistance, so I decided to change it up a little bit more and ask for her to go the other direction. You can see that she's still testing and pulling outwards, and so I just focus on letting her go in that nice forward circle around me again. When a horse is pulling outwards in a circle, it's very challenging to not continue to meet them with that same force and get into a battle of tug-of-war. When I feel a horse tug on my line, I'll do a big take, asking them to continue on in the circle, and then an even bigger release, asking them to continue on with their forward momentum. I felt like she was beginning to settle and focus, so I had her come back to the walk and just focus on a nice circle around me again. What I'm ideally looking for her to do is use her body straight throughout the circle and have a nice, slow, steady, and consistent trot where she starts to lower her head and relax down to stretch. I set up the 4 cones to give us a visual reminder of the space that I would like to use without having the rail there to support her body and keep her balanced. My goal is for her to stay within them, but at times you can see that I actually use them to push her on the outside of the cones as well. Here I'm starting to make some good progress, and she's starting to give me that slower trot and lowering her head, starting to use her body a little bit better. I doubled the speed of this clip just so you could see the process of her relaxing in that circle and developing that nice, slow, steady trot that I was looking for. Success by approximation when they're young, so we stop and big reward. Now it's time to repeat in the other direction again. Here you can see that I'm still working her through some of her reluctancy that she had earlier in the session. Again, I just doubled the speed of the clip so that way you could see the process and I could keep the length of the video down. And here we've got the final results and the last circle of the day. Although it's still not perfect, you can tell that she's trying. She's relaxed, she's calm, and she's communicating. So I let her stop. She gets a big scratch, and she can be all done with this exercise for today. What a good girl. I like to end every groundwork session by reconnecting with the horse, spending some time loving on them, and seeing how in tune they are with me. I spend some time walking around, turning, backing up, and doing different things to see how focused the horse is on me. I'm just using body language and very, very light cues and allowing the horse to make the decision to follow. And that concluded Violet's session for today.